Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
Together, we are Backyard Musings.
Yeah, and we are talking about another health topic, which is good, but it's a question that you'll just have to kind of answer for yourself, I guess. But has to do with night light.
Yeah, and I didn't know
What the
this.
heck?
Exposure to artificial light at night appears to trigger stress in the brain and inflammation in the arteries, raising heart disease risk.
Huh.
Researchers say even modest light increases could have long term cardiovascular consequences. Higher exposure to artificial light at night was associated with increased stress activity in the brain, inflammation in the arteries, and a greater risk of heart disease, according to a preliminary study presented recently at the American Heart Association's scientific sessions in 2025. Would you like to know more?
Okay, so this is interesting. I have never heard of this term, but we're going to talk about it, I guess. Artificial light at night, often referred, and I've never heard this, as nighttime light pollution. That's kind of weird. Is nearly unavoidable in modern urban environments, the researchers noted. In this first of its kind investigation, scientists combined brain imaging with satellite data to identify a biological pathway that may connect nighttime light exposure to heart disease.
So I've heard of this in on the Big Island of Hawaii. The light Kona lights and the Hilo lights, they use special sulfur dye whatever lights so that there's not as much glare for the observatories at the top of Mauna Kea, so that they can see, observe things in space better. So I know of the term light pollution, but I never knew that this could happen.
Well, obviously, that's only going to be at night, right? Because you're not going to have
Right,
light pollution during the day,
right.
unless you're inside of an office where there's no windows or a building where there's no windows.
Or down in a bunker.
A bunker, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. Um, I mean, we've had light for a long time, and we normally only
Well,
use light at night. So
right. But fake light or whatever, what do they call it?
different,
Artificial light is different from natural sunlight. It's different.
right? But different types of light, like you mentioned, some kind of a sulfur light was maybe
Yeah,
was it some type of a sodium light, like a low pressure or high pressure sodium light.
yeah.
Yeah, so that those put off different types of light. Then we've just changed our light, right? We were primarily fluorescent and incandescent, and now we're LED,
LED.
and that's pretty fairly new. I mean, I don't know how old, but it's newer than. It wasn't something that was invented by Thomas Edison, or he didn't invent the light bulb anyway. Who invented the light bulb?
Yeah, that was Edison.
It was that okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the LED. I mean, it's a great light. It's inexpensive, but we'll see what kind of effects it has. So anyway, here we go.
Here's a quote. We know that environmental factors such as air and noise pollution can lead to heart disease by affecting our nerves and blood vessels through stress. Light pollution is very common. However, we don't know much about how it affects the heart, said senior study author Shady Abu Hashim. I'm not making that up. Medical doctor, MDH, head of cardiac PET-CT imaging trials at Massachusetts General Hospital, and an instructor at Harvard Medical School in Boston.
Good. Okay. All participants underwent the same positron emission tomography, computed tomography scan, which is, we got it here shortened at PET/CT. The study included 450 adults who had no history of heart disease and no active cancer. Quote, this is a routine imaging test at my hospital, Abu Hashim said. The CT portion provides detailed anatomy, while the PET portion reveals metabolic activity in tissues. Using both imaging techniques together allows for the measure of brain stress, activity, and arterial inflammation in a single scan. So, yeah, I don't know. This almost sounds like some kind of a scam. I don't know.
Some kind of a, you say scan or scam?
It says in a single scan, but I said it almost sounds like a scam. But we'll see. I mean,
The
I don't
results
know.
showed the results showed that people exposed to higher levels of artificial light at night had increased stress-related activity in the brain, more inflammation in blood vessels, and a higher likelihood of major cardiovascular events. Researchers gathered this information from medical records, which were independently reviewed by two blinded cardiologists who did not know any details that could influence their evaluations.
All right, we're blinded. We're not blind, right?
They were forced to be blind, like a pick right in their eye.
Okay. All right. Risk rose steadily with increasing light exposure. Each standard deviation increase in nighttime light was linked to roughly a 35% higher risk of heart disease over 5 years and a 22% higher risk over 10 years. These relationships remained even after accounting for traditional heart disease risk factors and other social and environmental influences such as noise pollution and socioeconomic status. Okay. So if you're poor and you're living next to a, uh, a mine that has a bunch of crushers and you're doomed, man. You better turn the lights out at 5 o'clock at night.
The association was strongest among participants living in areas with additional stressors, including heavy traffic noise or lower neighborhood income. I don't know how that's a stressor. I mean, okay. Over a 10-year follow-up period, 17% of participants experienced major heart-related conditions.
Huh. Quote, we found a nearly linear relationship between nighttime light and heart disease. The more nighttime light exposure, the higher the risk. Even modest increases in nighttime light were linked with higher brain and artery stress. And that's according to, I think he's a doctor, Abu Hashim. Going on with the quote, when the brain perceives stress, it activates signals that can trigger an immune response and inflame the blood vessels. Over time, this process contributes to hardening of the arteries and increased risk of heart disease and stroke. So if you're doing this, if you're bothered by this nighttime light and you're a smoker or heavy drinker, this is not going to be good for you, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, my parents were both heavy smokers, heavy drinkers, and mom died at 63, dad died at 67. So
Wow.
they were young.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll
to
say.
lessen the impact of artificial light at night, Abu Hashim, or Shady, suggested that cities reduce unnecessary outdoor lighting, shield street lamps, or install motion sensitive lighting systems. On an individual level, people can limit indoor nighttime light, keeping bedrooms dark, and avoiding screens such as TVs and personal electronic devices before bed. That's common sense for
Yeah.
best practices.
Yeah. Quote again, these findings are novel and add to the evidence suggesting that reducing exposure to excessive artificial light at night is a public health concern. This is according to Julio Fernandez Mendoza, PhD, DBSM, whatever that stands for, FAHA, who serves on the writing committee of multidimensional sleep health, definitions and implications for cardiometabolic health, a scientific statement from the American Heart Disease Association or Heart Association.
Previously, the American Heart Association realized a scientific statement on the role of circadian health in cardiometabolic health and disease risk. The statement highlights light pollution as a major disruptor of the body's internal clock and notes that it can suppress melatonin, delay the onset of sleep, and even at low levels has been linked to an increased level of cardiovascular disease.
Okay, another quote here. We know too much exposure to artificial light at night can harm your health, particularly increasing the risk of heart disease. However, we did not know how this harm happened. This is according to Fernandez Mendoza. Going on with a quote, the study has investigated one of several possible causes, which is how our brains respond to stress. This response seems to play a big role in thinking artificial light at the night to heart disease. Okay. Fernandez Mendoza, who was not involved in the research, is also a professor of psychiatry, neuroscience, and public health sciences, and the director of behavioral sleep medicine at Pennsylvania State University College of Medicine in Hershey, Pennsylvania, the same town that has Hershey chocolate, I believe, right?
That's right. That's right. The research benefited from advanced PET and CT imaging to assess brain stress and arterial inflammation, combined with satellite-based measurements of nighttime light and long-term follow-up for cardiovascular events.
There were also limitations. The study was observational and relied on previously collected data, meaning it cannot establish a direct cause and effect relationship. In addition, all participants received care within a single hospital system, which limits the extent to which the findings can be generalized to more diverse populations.
Researchers reviewed health records from 466 adults, 43% of whom are men, with a median age of 55. Among participants, 89.7% were white, 10.3% were non-white. All underwent a PET and CT scan at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston between 2005 and 2008.
Nighttime light exposure was estimated using data from the 2016 New World Atlas of Artificial Night Light or Night Sky Brightness. This resource combines upward radiance measurements from the visible infrared imaging radiometer suite day-night band on the Suomi National Polar Orbiting Partnership satellite with radiative transfer modeling to estimate ground level zenith sky brightness. Artificial brightness refers only to light produced by human sources and excludes natural light from stars, airglow, and moonlight. Okay.
Researchers measured nighttime light levels at each participant's home and analyzed imaging markers of brain stress and arterial inflammation. Participants were followed through the end of 2018, during which time 79 individuals, or 17%, experienced major heart problems.
Quote again, this research indicates that light pollution is more than just an annoyance. It could also increase the risk of heart disease. We hope clinicians and policymakers will consider nighttime light exposure when developing preventive strategies. Abu Hashim said, we want to expand this work in larger, more diverse populations, test interventions that produce nighttime light, and explore how reducing light exposure might improve heart health. So there's your more money. We want to expand this work. We want to expand this work. We need more money. Okay. And policymakers, why do we need policymakers involved in this? Because that means, California, they're going to say, you can't have your lights on after 8 o'clock at night. Between 8 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning, no outside lights.
Yep.
Whatever.
Right now, our bedroom is dark, and then we've got night lights in the hallway and the bathrooms.
At night, you're talking about?
At night, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you in the morning.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.